Today I'm going to tell you about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving Day is an annual national holiday in the United States celebrating the harvest and other blessings of the past year. The event that Americans commonly call the first Thanksgiving was celebrated by the Pilgrims after their first harvest in the New World in October of 1621. This feast lasted 3 days, and as accounted by attendee Edward Winslow, it was attended by 90 Native Americans and 53 Pilgrims. This New England colonists were accustomed to regularly celebrating Thanksgiving days of prayer, thanking God for blessings such as military victory or the end of a drought. The first documented Thanksgiving services in territory currently belongs to the United States were conducted by Spaniards and the French in the 16th century. Wisdom practices such as expressing gratitude, sharing, and giving away are integral to many indigenous cultures and communities. Americans also trace the Thanksgiving holiday to a 1621 celebration at the Plymouth plantation where the settlers held a harvest feast after a successful growing season. Autumn or early winter fests continued sporadically in later years, first as an impromptu religious observance and later as civil tradition. Squanto, a Patuxet Native American who resided with the Wampanoag tribe, taught the Pilgrims how to catch eel and grow corn and served as an interpreter for them. Squanto had learned the English language during his enslavement in England. The Wampanoag leader, Massaoa, had given food to the colonists during the first winter when supplies brought from England were insufficient. The Pilgrims celebrated at Plymouth for 3 days after their first harvest in 1621. The exact time is unknown, but James Baker, the Plymouth Plantation Vice President of Research, stated in 1996 the event occurred between September 21st and November 11th, 1621, with the most likely time being around Michaelmas, the traditional time. That Thanksgiving was eating with spoon and knives, but no forks. That's right, no forks. Forks weren't introduced to the Pilgrims until 10 years later, and weren't a popular utensil until the 18th century. President John F. Kennedy issued Proclamation 3560 on November 5, 1963, stating, "Over 3 centuries ago, our forefathers in Virginia and Massachusetts, far from home in a lonely wilderness, set aside a time of thanksgiving. On the appointed day, they gave reverent thanks for their safety, for the health of their children, for the fertility of their fields, for the love which bound them together, and for the faith which united them with their God." In the middle of the American Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln, prompted by a series of editorials written by Sarah Josepha Hale, proclaimed a National Thanksgiving Day to be celebrated on the 26th, the final Thursday of November 1863. Since 1863, Thanksgiving has been observed annually in the United States. The holiday superseded Evacuation Day, a de facto national holiday that has been held on November 25 each year prior to the Civil War and commemorated to the British withdrawal from the United States after the American Revolution. Abraham Lincoln's successors as president followed his example of annually declaring the final Thursday in November to be Thanksgiving. But in 1939, President Franklin D. Roosevelt broke with this tradition. November had 5 Thursdays that year instead of the 4 more common 4. Roosevelt declared the 4th Thursday as Thanksgiving rather than the 5th one. Although many popular histories state otherwise, he made clear that his plan was to establish the holiday on the next to last Thursday in the month instead of the last one. With the country still in the midst of the Great Depression, Roosevelt thought an earlier Thanksgiving would give merchants a longer period to sell goods before Christmas. The poor are often provided with food at Thanksgiving time. Most communities have annual food drives that collect non-perishable packaged and canned foods, and corporation sponsors charitably distribute staple foods and Thanksgiving dinners. The Salvation Army enlists volunteers to serve Thanksgiving dinners to hundreds of people in different locales. Additionally, pegged to be 5 days after Thanksgiving is Giving Tuesday, a celebration of charitable giving. U.S. tradition compares the holiday with a meal held in 1621 by the Wampanoag and the Pilgrims, who settled at Plymouth Plantation. It is continued in modern times with Thanksgiving dinner. traditionally featuring turkey playing a central role in the celebration of Thanksgiving. In the United States, certain kinds of food are traditionally served at Thanksgiving meals. Turkey, usually roasted and stuffed, but sometimes deep fried instead, is typically the featured item on most Thanksgiving feast tables. So much so that Thanksgiving is also colloquially known as Turkey Day. In fact, 45 million turkeys were consumed on Thanksgiving Day alone in 2015. With 85% of Americans partaking in the meal, that's an estimated 276 million Americans dining on the festive poultry, spending an estimated $1.05 billion on turkeys for Thanksgiving in 2016. Mashed potatoes with gravy, stuffing, sweet potatoes, cranberry sauce, sweet corn, various fall vegetables, squash, Brussels sprouts, and pumpkin pie are commonly associated with Thanksgiving dinner. Since 1924 in New York City, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is held annually every Thanksgiving Day from the Upper West Side of Manhattan to Macy's flagship store in Herald Square, and televised nationally by NBC. The parade features parade floats with specific themes, scenes from Broadway, large balloons of cartoon characters, TV personalities, and high school marching bands. The float that traditionally ends the Macy's parade is the Santa Claus float, the arrival of which is an unofficial sign of the beginning of the Christmas season. It is billed as the world's largest parade. The oldest Thanksgiving Day parade is the Philadelphia Thanksgiving Day Parade, which launched in 1920 and takes place in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Philadelphia's parade was long associated with Gimbel's, a prominent Macy's rival, until that store closed in 1986. Its current sponsors are WPVI-TV, the Channel 6 ABC affiliate in Philadelphia, and Dunkin' Donuts. Each year, the President of the United States pardons a turkey. This lucky turkey is guaranteed to spend the rest of its life living freely and not ending up on a turkey platter. The people of the Virgin Islands, a United States territory in the Caribbean Sea, celebrate two Thanksgivings, the national holiday and Hurricane Thanksgiving Day. Every October 19th, if there have been no hurricanes, Hurricane Thanksgiving Day is held and the islanders give thanks that they have been spared. Thank you for watching this episode of Adventurous Kids.